Well, hello there. This is Father Dominic at Holy Trinity Catholic Church in Beaverton. And today, well, it's Sunday afternoon. Since we have our convocation coming up this week, I have to do this on Sunday afternoon, and it's been a long day already, so we will see what comes out of this. But I thought that today I would talk a little bit about AI. We've been having some discussions about that in the office, and someone shared a paper with us by Paul Kingsnorth, and I can put a link to that. And it was an interesting discussion. It was an interesting paper, and in that paper he kind of talked about his I would say somewhat apocalyptic vision of AI from a spiritual perspective. And I'm going to offer a little bit of a different vision here. And I contend that if you watch this video and understand it, you will be smarter than 90% of the people who you hear talk about AI. And that's because what we call AI is not AI. The A part stands for artificial, and it is artificial. The I part stands for intelligence, and it is not intelligent. This thing is not what it is cracked up to be, I would say. So what is AI, or what are these things that we're talking about? And I'll link to another video here which also gives a little bit of the history of AI, a little bit of an explanation from a technical perspective and the reasons why basically the sort of large language model vision of AI, which is what we've been talking about recently, what's been very a la mode, is done, essentially. And so I think that hopefully can help in this discussion, this thinking. So what we're talking about when we talk about AI, when we talk about these large language models, is we're essentially talking about a search engine, like a Google search engine. We're talking about something which is an algorithm. So in other words, it's a computer program. It's a set of numbers. It's a set of ones and zeros, ultimately. And this computer program is good at predicting what the next thing is going to be. How does it predict what the next thing is going to be? Well, how it does that is it sort of scrapes all of the stuff that's on the internet, scrapes all of this text, scrapes all of these images. It looks at them, it looks at all of them, and then it says, when this thing comes, this thing is the next thing which usually comes. And that's all it is, and that's all it's doing, right? So it's not intelligent, it's not smart, it's simply a calculation, it's a number calculation based on, well, when these number inputs are there, oftentimes these number inputs follow. When there's the fast brown, words, and those things reduced to numbers, fox often follows. And so then it says the fast brown fox. Then you're like, wow, how does it know that? It doesn't know that. It doesn't know anything. AI is not smart. It doesn't have any intelligence. It can't have any intelligence by definition. That's all that AI is. And so the AI sort of maximalists, the people in Silicon Valley especially, who thought that AI is going to become super intelligent, that it's going to achieve human-like intelligence, it's going to take over the world, they don't know what intelligence is. And they're mostly materialists, right? They don't believe in God. They don't believe in the human soul. They don't believe in any of these realities. So they think that if you can just make something that's like a human brain, in other words, you can make something that has these information nodes and has these ways of communicating between them and ways of storing information, then that thing by definition will become intelligent. But it won't. Human intelligence is something that is radically different than anything in our experience in this world. That's because obviously God is intelligent. As far as we know, angels are intelligent. Those are things that are outside of this world and outside of our experience. So everything in this world, everything in our experience is not intelligent except us. And so even all these people in these fields of studies, they don't know what intelligence is because, as I say, they don't have the theological or the philosophical perspective to understand what intelligence is. Intelligence is a spiritual act. When I know something, that is a spiritual act. And that's not even something that the most intelligent animal does. Animals don't know that they're animals. Animals don't know anything at all. Animals are experiential beings. So an animal experiences all these things. It experiences emotions. It experiences, you could say, joy. It experiences happiness. It experiences sadness. It experiences longing. There's a lot going on. These are amazing things that are made by God, amazing creatures. But they're not self-conscious. They don't know that they exist. You can tell in the fossil record, you can tell something that's human from something that's not human by whether it makes a tool or not. And not whether it uses something as a tool, but whether it makes something, it shapes something to be a tool for something else. Because the only way you can do that is if you know the idea of something. Like I know the idea of a tree. I know the idea of a deer. Oh, this thing I could use to hunt deer. This thing I could use to cut a tree. I have to have that idea. I have to know that idea. That's not the storage of an image. That's an actual act of knowledge. And the act of knowledge is spiritual. The act of knowledge is something that only a spirit can do. So this thing that's AI, where it's a bunch of numbers and they're calculating all these things, it doesn't know anything. The difference between that and actual intelligence, our intelligence, is that I actually know something and then I express it. AI doesn't know anything. It's just numbers. And it's just numbers that are sort of eerily predicting things which human beings know because it's scraped up all this information. So when I understand that I don't have to be worried about AI. Now, that doesn't mean AI can't be misused. It doesn't mean this thing we call AI, these large language models that are sort of eerily predictive. We can misuse all kinds of technology. Obviously, nuclear technology is an incredible technology to understand the forces that are within an atom, and then to be able to harness that power is incredibly useful. I can use that for destruction. We have used that for destruction. So each technology that we invent is a double-edged sword. So I'm not saying there's not problems. This guy, Paul Kingsnorth, in that article that he's talking about, he's really against screens. He's really against the internet. He said he would destroy the whole thing if he could, in a moment. The problem with our world is not the internet. Now, there's lots of problems that manifest themselves on the internet, and the internet is often misused. But the fundamental problem in the world, it's not the internet. It's not AI. It's not machines. It's not atomic weapons. It is people. People are either good or evil. Good people use things for good. Evil people use things for evil. Give an evil person more power, and they have more power to do evil. Give a good person more power, and they have more power to do good, although power always corrupts. And there is this in the world, this reality of our fallen natures and of the fact that the world itself is problematic, right? The world itself is broken. Sin has broken the world. And so in the world, as we follow these things, as we sort of follow our natural instincts, you might say, we ourselves can be broken. We can be problematic. We can tend towards evil. That's what original sin means. That's what Christianity comes to remedy. So Christianity is the remedy when it comes to technology, when it comes to AI, when it comes to all of these things. And that, I think, is the most important thing for all of us. As we hear about these things, reflect on them, we should know what they are. That's what these things are. These things are complex computer programs. They're very good. This video that I'm going to link to talks about how they've sort of maxed out their ability to progress any further than they are. They're not going to, at least in their current iteration, they're not going to get significantly better. They're not going to really do much more than what they're doing now. They'll be able to fine-tune some things. They're not coming to take over our jobs, to be our assistants or anything like that, right? They're not going to do any of those things. But little by little, they can start to do things that in lots of ways human beings have done. They can start to be very sophisticated tools, very sophisticated search engines, that sort of thing. And they can really change a lot of fields. They can change the way that we do education. They can change the way that we do research. Those are very powerful things. Those are things that could be misused. But that's what we're talking about. And so as you hear these things, know that anyone who says, these AIs are going to evolve into superhuman intelligences and then they're going to take over the world and then they're going to basically be gods, no, they won't. And they can't, because of what intelligence is. That's why it's so important to have a supernatural perspective, a religious perspective, the perspective that our faith gives us, the perspective that even philosophy gives us. Those are things that can protect us from these limited perspectives of people who are very intelligent people, but they're fundamentally stupid because they've lost the true understanding of the world, which is that the world is a place that is fundamentally supernatural. The world is a place that is guided by God. The world is a place that is influenced by all of these spiritual things. The world is a place in which each one of us is a spiritual agent in this world. And if you don't know that or you don't see that, you're prone to make very silly errors. And you're prone to think that your Google search is going to evolve into God, which is the perpetual temptation of idol worship. So don't fall into that. But also, I think, don't in fear recoil from it or try to destroy it or burn it. That's not going to work. And the church has never done that, right? The church has always been at the forefront, at the cutting edge of technology. I mean, despite what they say, despite what you might hear about Galileo or whatever else. No, the church has always been in favor of science and in favor of technological development and has always been looking for ways to turn this into something good. So that's our project now, as always, to take, like Father Bill was talking about a few weeks ago in that gospel, take that dishonest wealth, take those worldly things, take those things which are in this world, and like that dishonest steward, or maybe, not so dishonest steward, that steward becomes a model for us to use those things, to use this technology, use dishonest wealth, use these abilities that are in the world that we know are going to pass away. These things are not going to last. Use them to do good. Use them to turn the abilities that they have, turn the power that they have, turn their capabilities into good, so that when those things pass away, when we lose that dishonest wealth, when we lose those dishonest things that are just a part of this world that's passing away, that good that we've done by them will remain and will last into eternity. So hopefully that's helpful, and hope to keep talking about these things with you, and hope to see you soon, although not this week because I'll be on convocation. So please pray for me, and I'll be sure to pray for you as well. God bless you.